Now, just like with President Obama, you know, as I said, I cannot stand idly by and watch him being the victim of racism and the news media and all of them knowing it and pretending that it ain't happening. No, I'm not going to stand by and watch you spiritually lynch that brother, and I'm not going to watch you bully him. See, they've been had a thing on bullying. You know what bullying is. That's when somebody knows they got you at a disadvantage and then they mistreat you. Huh? I mean, and bullying is the worst kind of cowardice there is. Because he knows that you're scared of him, or he knows that he has the advantage, right? So even if you try to defend yourself, he knows that that's not really a fight. It's not a fight if you don't really stand a chance of losing. A man go bragging about beating up on a woman. You ain't got nothing to brag on. You beat up a woman? A grown man jump on a baby and then come out. Did you see I knocked him? What are you boasting about? If you want to show how tough you are, do like I do. If people disagree with you, invite them to come in and give them time to express themselves. Now, here are all these super PACs raising all this money and putting all this false advertisement out there, accusing that man of not having did anything for the past 4 years, and that the economy is in bad shape, and all of it is his fault and whatnot. I got something I want you to hear, and brother Hodo, cue that DVD up. I want you to hear something. This is his first cabinet meeting. This is on YouTube. You can go get it off of that. You know, the scripture says, seek and you shall find. If you want to know the truth, since your memory ain't long as John was in the army, well then that's what tape recorders and stuff is for. Now, hold on. When you got it ready, let me know. I want everybody to hear it.
Okay, son of man, we're ready.
Okay. Play it. This is his first cabinet meeting.
Should I talk now, or?
Official cabinet meeting. We have one future cabinet member missing, but everybody else is present and accounted for. I delivered a few messages. Number one, I am extraordinarily proud of
Hold on, you need to turn that up some.
the diversity and the work ethic of this team. In an unprecedented situation where we had to hit the ground running and get an enormous amount done in the first 3 months, everybody here has performed, I think, at the highest level. And I'm extraordinarily proud of the quality of this cabinet. Number two, I emphasized to this cabinet that we have had to take some extraordinary steps in order to shore up our financial system and to deal with an unprecedented economic crisis. And as a consequence, we've had to spend a significant amount of money, both on the Recovery Act, to create and save jobs, and to lay the foundations for long-term sustainable economic growth. Also, in order to make sure that the financial systems are strong enough to start lending to businesses and communities so that we can start creating jobs again. That was the right thing to do and the necessary thing to do. However, moving forward, we have an obligation, as I talked about in my weekly radio address, or internet address now, to make sure that this government is as efficient as possible and that every taxpayer dollar that is spent is being spent wisely. Joe Biden's doing an outstanding job working with all the cabinet members to make sure that the Recovery Act is moving out with unprecedented transparency and effectiveness. And I'm very grateful to him and his team for the work that's being done there. Many of the agencies have already taken some extraordinary steps to consolidate, streamline, and improve their practices. Just a couple of examples. Veterans Affairs has canceled or delayed 26 conferences, saving nearly $17.8 million, and they're using less expensive alternatives like video conferencing. The USDA, under Secretary Vilsack, is working to combine 1,500 employees from 7 office locations into a single facility in 2011, which we estimate will save $62 million over a 15-year lease term. Janet Napolitano at the Department of Homeland Security estimates that they can save up to $52 million over 5 years just by purchasing office supplies in bulk. So there are a host of efficiencies that can be gained without increasing our personnel or our budget, but rather decreasing the amount of money that's spent on unnecessary things in order to fund some of the critical initiatives that we've all talked about. Obviously, Bob Gates just came out with a historic budget proposal with respect to the Pentagon, and we expect to follow up with significant procurement reform that's going to make an enormous difference. So, none of these savings by themselves are going to solve our long-term fiscal problems. But taken together, they can make a difference, and they send a signal that we are serious about changing how government operates. So, one of the messages that I delivered today to all members of the Cabinet was, as well as you've already done, you're going to have to do more. I'm asking for all of them to identify at least $100 million in additional cuts to their administrative budgets, separate and apart from the work that Peter Orszag and the rest of our team are doing to go line by line with the budget and identify programmatic cuts that need to be made. And in the next few weeks, we expect to cut at least 100 current programs in the federal budget so that we can free up those dollars in order to put them to use for critical areas like healthcare, education, energy, our foreign policy apparatus, which is so important. So I'm very pleased about the work that we've done, but we've got more to do. And one of the things that everybody here is mindful of is that as we move forward, dealing with this extraordinary economic crisis, we also have a deficit, a confidence gap when it comes to the American people. And we've got to earn their trust. They've got to feel confident that their dollars are being spent wisely. And I have every confidence that the team that I put together is going to be able to deliver on that efficiency and productivity in the weeks, months, and years to come. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It is.
Now, stop it there, Brother Hodo. Pause it there.
But cumulatively, they make an
pause it there.
Because they started setting a tone. And so what we're going to do is line by line, page by page, $100 million there, $100 million here. Pretty soon, even in Washington, it adds up to real money. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, pause it right there. Now, that was his first cabinet meeting. He was going under the assumption that the Congress was going to treat him like they did every other president. Now, you who looking at this on television, you see all of those Caucasian people sitting around him that he chose to help him in his cabinet. And Congress, every time they come out and speak to you about President Obama, Boehner and all of them, John Boehner and the rest of those unjust people, they talk to you like President Obama just sitting off somewhere in some little room thinking up stuff and coming out there just asking their permission to do it. When that's not the way a president has conducted himself. That's not the way a president has been treated in this country. The president sets policy. That's why he is allowed to take so many advisors in his cabinet. He has an administration. They determine a policy, a direction in which the country is to go, and they tell Congress, this is what we need to do. Now, let's get it done. And Congress makes sure that they do what needs to be done to help promote that policy. That's the way it has worked in the past. But because his skin is black, they don't care how many white folks he got in his cabinet advising him and everything. We can't make that. We can't let this nigger be over us. That's what they really saying. Well, you don't get ready for it because the nigger is the Lord now. What you gonna do about me? I don't like the way you treating him because it's an affront to every black man on the earth, woman and child. And I'm sick of it, and you will stop, you soon won't have no mind to do it with. I know you think I ain't got no authority to say nothing. What just happened and went, that hurricane, that tropical storm hurricane just turned and went to Mexico, they're going to be coming here after a while. Keep tripping. You working out of time. It's my time. Now, I've warned you. I'm giving you fair warning. The road you're traveling is going to get you hell. You better turn around. Now, listen to this other one that was in 2010 in November. At least that's the date on it on YouTube. Hold on. Let the other one play.
I just want to make a few quick remarks to expand on some things that I said yesterday. Obviously, Tuesday was a big election. I congratulated the Republicans and consoled some of our Democrats about the results. And I think it's clear that the voters send a message, which is they want us to focus on the economy and jobs and moving this country forward. They're concerned about making sure that taxpayer money is not wasted, and they want to change the tone here in Washington, where the two parties are coming together and focusing on the people's business as opposed to scoring political points. I just had a meeting with my cabinet and key staff to let them know that we have to take that message to heart and make a sincere and consistent effort to try to change how Washington operates. The folks around this table have done extraordinary work in their agencies. They have cooperated consistently with Congress. I think they are interested in bipartisan ideas. And so they are going to be integral in helping me to root out waste in government, make our agencies more efficient, and generate more ideas so that we can put the American people back to work. Now, at the same time, obviously what's going to be critically important over the coming months is creating a better working relationship between this White House and the congressional leadership that's coming in, as well as the congressional leadership that carries over from the previous Congress. And so I want everybody to know that I have already called Mitch McConnell, John Boehner, Harry Reid, and Nancy Pelosi to invite them to a meeting here at the White House in the first week of the lame duck on November 18th. This is going to be a meeting in which I want us to talk substantively about how we can move the American people's agenda forward. It's not just going to be a photo op. Hopefully, it may spill over into dinner. And the immediate focus is going to be what we need to get done during the lame duck session. I mentioned yesterday we have to act in order to assure that middle-class families don't see a big tax spike because of how the Bush tax cuts had been structured. It is very important that we extend those middle-class tax provisions to hold middle-class families harmless. But there are a whole range of other economic issues that have to be addressed. Unemployment insurance for folks who are still out there looking for work, business extenders, which are essentially provisions to encourage businesses to invest here in the United States, and if we don't have those, we're losing a very important tool for us to be able to increase business investment and increase job growth over the coming year. We've got to provide businesses some certainty about what their tax landscape is going to look like, and we've got to provide families certainty. That's critical to maintain our recovery. I should mention that in addition to those economic issues, there's some things during the lame duck that relate to foreign policy that are going to be very important for us to deal with. And I'll make mention of one in particular, and that's the START Treaty. We have negotiated with the Russians significant reductions in our nuclear arms. This is something that traditionally has received strong bipartisan support. We've got people like George Shultz, who helped to organize arms control treaties with the Russians back when it was the Soviet Union, who have come out forcefully in favor of this. This is not a traditionally Democratic or Republican issue, but rather an issue of American national security, and I am hopeful that we can get that done before we leave and send a strong signal to Russia that we are serious about reducing nuclear arsenals, but also send a signal to the world that we're serious about non-proliferation. We've made great progress when it comes to sending a message to Iran that they are isolated internationally, in part because people have seen that we are serious about taking our responsibilities when it comes to non-proliferation, and that has to continue. So there's going to be a whole range of work that needs to get done in a relatively short period of time, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation with the leadership about some agenda items that they may be concerned about. Last point I'll make is that I've also invited the newly elected Democratic and Republican governors here to the White House on December 2nd because I think it's a terrific opportunity to hear from them, folks who are working at the state and local levels, about what they're seeing, what ideas they think Washington needs to be paying more attention to. A lot of times things are a little less ideological when you get governors together because they've got very practical problems that they've got to solve in terms of how do they make sure that roads and bridges are funded, and how do they make sure that schools stay open and teachers stay on the job. That kind of nuts and bolts stuff I think oftentimes yields the kind of common sense approach that the American people, I think, are looking for right now. So in sum, we've got a lot of work to do. People are still catching their breath from the election. The dust is still settling. But the one thing I'm absolutely certain of is that the American people don't want us just standing still. They don't want us engaged in gridlock. They want us to do the people's business, partly because they understand that the world is not standing still. I'm going to be leaving tomorrow for India, and the primary purpose is to take a bunch of U.S. companies and open up markets so that we can sell in Asia and some of the fastest growing markets in the world, and we can create jobs here in the United States of America. My hope is that we've got some specific announcements that show the connection between what we're doing overseas and what happens here at home when it comes to job growth and economic growth. But the bottom line is that all around the world, countries are moving. They are serious about competing. They are serious about competing with us not just on manufacturing but on services. They're competing with us when it comes to educational attainment, when it comes to scientific discovery. And so we can't afford 2 years of just squabbling. What we need to do is make sure that everybody's pulling together, Democrats and Republicans and independents, folks at the federal level and the state levels, private sector with the public sector, to make sure that America retains its competitiveness, retains its leadership in the world. And that's something that I'm very much looking forward to helping to be a part of. So, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Before I dismiss you, I want to read an editorial that we put in the Son of Man Speaks this month that I saw the need for, and I asked our brothers at the print shop to do it, and I gave, because I wanted to speak to you on it. It shows a picture of President Obama and his cabinet all sitting around the conference table. And it says, the above photo of the President and his cabinet of advisors reminds me of something I read in the Holy Bible. 2 verses come to mind. Proverbs 11 and 14 says, where no counsel is, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Proverbs 15 and 22 says, without counsel, purposes are disappointed. But in the multitude of counselors, they are established. The members of Congress who keep refusing to recognize the policy-making authority of the current president and his administration simply because he is a black man, they pretend to have the nation's best interest at heart while opposing the man that was elected to guide the nation by the vote of the American people. Look at the picture of the president and his cabinet. When he comes up with a policy or course of action, he's not the Lone Ranger, but he and his advisors have painstakingly agonized over that policy. And afterward, he made a decision based on the wise counsel that he brought with him in his cabinet. The members of Congress who treat the president with such disdain and disrespect are so caught up in racism that they don't see that it's not just the black-skinned president that they are disrespecting, but the people in his cabinet and all of those who voted for the president. Also, by not recognizing the authority of the man who was elected by a majority vote of the American people, they show the utmost of disrespect to the very system of government that they claim to cherish. Lastly, this course of action embarked upon by members of the congressional body has brought Congress into dishonor and disrespect. Now, that's my editorial. And I want you to make sure you keep a copy and read it and recognize that it's not just, all of you black people, I want to tell you something. It's a shame when your ex-slave master got more heart, got more respect for a black man who's standing up and exercising manhood than the very people that he is an inspiration to. For him to have been the first black president, which I don't think, as I look at how he has conducted himself, we could not have had a better choice. And for you, some of you, to act like you have acted towards this man, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Especially when you see the racism that's being practiced even against him. I mean, I can understand them blaming the economy and its situation on him if they had instituted the policies that he had been trying to get them to do for the longest. Look at what Michael Moore had to say about the president reaching across. You just heard him saying that he wanted to try to work with the Congress, and he's been trying to do that ever since he got in office. But listen to what Michael Moore had to say, and remember.
The light, or because they feel the heat. So it's campaign season. Has the president really seen the light about the venom and the vitriol and the vulgarity of the enemy that he's up against? Has he seen the light, or is he feeling the heat because it's election time?
Even though I do not agree, I don't agree with the wording of faith. Yes, I'm here.
We couldn't hear anything that you just played.
I do not agree with the wording of that question by Tavis Smiley, because, he suggested that the Congress is the enemy. The president can't be looking at the Congress as no enemy. No, that's poorly chosen word, poorly formed question. The vitriol from Congress was sufficient, but you don't call one of your own branches of government your enemy. The president has never suggested that. But the racist attitudes of them is an enemy to the whole government. Because it hinders. It's just like when in World War II, they could take a lesson. They could take a lesson from the pilot who was flying bombing missions into Germany, and how at some point they didn't want no black pilot. Didn't want no black people, want to belittle the black man, until the white pilot would take their planes and leave their bombers chasing the planes of the Germans that was actually sent as decoys, and a lot of them knew it. But it gave them an excuse to leave because they didn't want to be caught in the thick of the battle. They finally had the Tuskegee black pilot escorting some of them. And once they got an escort by them, they realized they didn't want no other pilots escorting them nowhere. Because them brothers didn't run out and leave them. They escorted them safely there and back home. Now, that's the history that they told you about our people. Here you got a president in there that has never embarrassed you as a people. When the last time you seen an American flag burning somewhere? and you hate the black man who got you some respect, and you running around here, you sold all of this stuff in that poor young man that went there and shot up all them people in that Sikh temple. You sold that stuff in that man. These are your children, white people. You're the one who teaching them that the black man is inferior and the black man is no good and the black man is... Why don't you tell them the truth that the black man is their father? The scripture says they have sown the wind and they shall reap the whirlwind. And a whirlwind ain't loyal to nobody. Huh? If you get it going, it'll tear up your house. You have to be careful what you putting in your children. Hatred is a very strong emotion. The only thing stronger than hatred is love. But you sow the emotion of hatred, then don't be surprised when it starts tearing up your community. A person who's walking around filled with hatred can't help but have hateful actions. And then remember now, there's a law in physics that no two objects may occupy the exact same space at the exact same time. The heart can't be filled with love and hatred at the same time. Now, you're reaping the whirlwind. The Columbine thing, the Aurora thing, or what's that, Lardner? Remember Lardner? The one who shot the congresswoman? You're reaping the whirlwind. And it's about to escalate. I'm warning you. You better listen to me. I'm giving you warning from Allah. Whether you call him God or whatever you want to call him, it ain't but one God. And I'm his representative. You better listen to me. Now, when you're walking around here ain't got no mind, then you will understand what the consequences was for not listening to me. Well, you won't, but people who see you, they will understand. But you're going to remember what I said. I promise you, you're going to remember. And all those insulting things you have to say, and all of those hateful things you had to say, I'm not unaware of where I'm at. You better turn to the 18th chapter of Revelation. I know exactly where I'm at, and I know who I'm dealing with. That young man was so filled with venom and hatred, and just like the book says. Look at this. It's the 18th chapter of Revelation. It says, and after these things I saw another angel, another messenger, come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. Remember, Elijah was caught up to heaven in a whirlwind, wasn't he? Elijah came back, and he declared something. Here the book says, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. You better look at the word Babylon and understand something. There's two words there, baby and lung. What is the capital of England? And what was the capital of England when America when they was setting colonies and established them 13 colonies over here, didn't they have a British, what they call parliament? And the government or ruling body of England was in London, wasn't it? Then what did you expect America to have in the way of government other than a baby London? Babylon for short. And it says Babylon the Great. Why? Because she's greater than her parent now. You can't say America is not greater than England. America is greater than England now. She became greater. Huh? Then it says Babylon the Great is fallen. And then it repeats it. Yeah, you heard right. It's fallen. I remember there was a time when you come to America, brother, you couldn't buy a drink of alcohol legally. You had to go across the border to get you some whiskey or something. You couldn't buy it in the States because it was against the law. There was a time when you couldn't use a profane word on nobody's television or radio. Huh? My, how you have fallen. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote a book, The Fall of America. Babylon is fallen. He was that mighty angel that this is talking about. It's fallen. Yes, you heard right. It's fallen. And it's become the habitation of what? Devils. And the hold of every foul spirit. That which is born of the Spirit is what? Every foul kind of mind, every foul, hateful person, every kind of foul mind that you can think of, you find it right here in America. I'm in a snake pit here. And it says, the hold of every foul spirit in a cage. Look at America and her jail. What you think a jail is? The cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Look how hateful the people are in this country. And they compare them to birds. Why? Because they prey on each other. They get up high. He flies. You notice an eagle. An eagle, he flies high and he looks low. And he see an unsuspecting little creature down there. And he swoops down on him. And he winds up being dinner for his offspring. Huh? Look how the people of wealth and power in this country, they take misadvantage. They start wars and send the poor people off to die. They send their children to the finest schools, get nice education, and send you to a school that only educates you just enough to make you a fit tool and slave for them. He's trying to figure out now because he's too stupid to recognize that Allah done took me over. Remember he said I will be his keeper? He said I will keep him? You can't be nobody else's keeper. Say, well, I will keep thee in the day of temptation. Allah done took charge of me. We are one. You can play your little game if you want to. You're going to find out that Allah ain't playing. His word ain't no joke. Babylon is, look at this unclean. Look around you. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.